With the wings. I was the bun. All the girls in high school in my time period all had buns. Your hair was always up in a bun.
Oh, right.
Or a ponytail. Not a proper bun. It was messy. So it's like I'm casual and loose.
I went to an all-boys school, so I had none of that, unfortunately.
So you didn't experience any of this bun situation?
I had friends outside of school, and I've seen the occasional bun. But, all right, let me see if we're live. It looks like we're live. Yes, we're live. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. We were just talking about helmet hair and wavy hair. And
super important topics.
Very important topics, especially in Texas where there's a lot of humidity.
Yeah. But don't follow our advice on how to figure out how to tame the wild hair because I have no idea.
Right. No, that's a different kind of live stream that we can talk about later. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. We are doing a very special Facebook Live with Ashley Wainscott.
That's me.
Today we're going to be talking about hiring, the right way to hire for your business, as well as identifying weaknesses in an industry to have your business kind of be like that hero.
Yeah.
To bring that industry back on top. I'm going to actually shoot it over to Ashley because I'd love for her to tell us and myself about what she's been doing for the last 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years now. So I started a company called Simply Sold Home Renovations in April 2013. So we were just celebrating our 5-year anniversary and we're headed into our 6 year of business, which is kind of shocking.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. It's weird when you reflect back and you think on everything you've done and all these milestones that you've hit, and you just keep going. You don't really ever think back to what has happened until you hit a milestone like number 5, and you're like, wow, I'm no longer a baby, I'm a toddler.
Right.
I'm an actual small business now. So that was one of the interesting topics that we wanted to dive into, was creating a market for your business. And specifically for me, this was unique because I had to find a particular niche in my marketplace. I saw a problem, and it all begins there.
Right.
So you're like, okay, I see a problem, I see this, and then you start figuring out, okay, well, what are others doing to solve this problem? And I realized no one was.
No one's trying to solve this problem.
No one
one's
was.
even identifying the problem.
No one even identified it. Okay. No. I got excited just then. Did
Sorry.
you see that?
No,
I'm
I
like,
did too.
woo!
I get excited in that, like, oh, it's clicking. Okay, sorry.
So I had this idea, and what happened is, so the first thing you do, you have the problem, and then you want to identify the market, who your target market is. So who are you going to go after, and who has the need that you're going to fill, you're going to fill this void. So that's what I identified first, and I started working with a family friend who's a realtor in town, and he allowed me to work with all of his clients and really test this idea out. So it was just an idea at the time. It was not a full-blown business. I didn't have any crazy plans for it. It was just this little seed that I was planting throughout South Austin. And over the course of maybe 5 to 6 months, I figured out that people were responding really well to it. And I was surprised, kind of, but also not. It was exciting to realize you had figured something out, like I was some scientist.
Right. So what you were testing out was like you took a different approach to how you've seen other businesses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So basically what I was testing out was a different way to remodel or renovate homes. I started on a small scale, and I just did cosmetic items, and I was learning through the trades and the vendors what those cosmetic items were and how they were completed. And my whole thing of my differentiation factor was that we wanted to deliver the customer service aspect of it. So it was all about this experience. How can somebody come to me and I can take care of them from A to Z and they don't have to worry about anything? And so that was the whole thing for us, is it was like this new process. It was fresh. It was a different approach to the remodeling industry in general, but I just wanted to start off really small because you have to make sure it's even feasible.
Right. And if people want it.
If they want it.
Respond to it.
Yeah, I think people want it, but that doesn't mean they do.
Right.
I'm like, no, you need this.
Right. And that's what marketing is. It's about doing that research and doing that testing. A lot of people don't do that.
No.
So
Which I did test the market, but I will be the first to admit my fault was not figuring out this perfect customer early on. So you might have Sally, who you draw up on this piece of paper, and you're like, what does Sally do? She's my perfect customer. What does she do? Does she like to eat salads? Does she go to Juice Land often? Does she shop at Target? I don't know. What? Does she go to Office Depot? I don't know.
I think I'm Sally in this situation. I do all that. So.
You're Sally?
Yeah, apparently. With the characteristics
It's your
you just
alter
listed.
ego? Okay,
Yeah.
We'll call you Sally.
Just for this live stream, you can call me Sally. Okay, so basically build yourself that ideal customer.
Yeah.
To kind of have a target or like target demo or something like that.
Yeah, target demographic. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you want to know who you're catering towards. Otherwise, you're just pushing all this content out there for everyone. And it's not for everyone. You want that niche target demographic. And I can't push that enough. I really can't.
Right. And actually, that's something we push all the time is you can't market to if you market to everyone, you're marketing to no one.
Yes.
That's how that works.
Yes. That's such a great saying. And what was even more interesting was that, and we were talking about this before, but being a woman in the industry was different because it's an old established industry.
Actually, I wanted to set that up too, is that I was going to say in 2013, you were one of the few female contractors.
Yeah.
But how about in 2019? Still same idea? Or?
Similar. I think that women are getting more and more inspired in that space.
Good.
Which is exciting.
That is great, yeah.
Because I think women can really complement the remodeling industry. I think they're a great asset. It was just pushing through that barrier at first.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about that barrier you're talking about. I mean, that's as a dude, I don't want to talk about your experience. I'd rather you tell me, how did that process go? Was it difficult? Did you find a lot of support or not support?
I tend to look at things on a positive viewpoint. So I'm always looking at this positive perspective. So I wouldn't say was it difficult? Yes. Was I at times probably discouraged? Yes. I would come into people's homes and they would think I was always the stager or designer, which is not my forte. That is not my sixth sense. I am not a designer. I'm like, no, I'm your general contractor, I might look different, but I promise you the results actually are even better. And
you enjoy the process the whole time.
I do.
Right? Yes. You and the customer, because that's what I was actually meaning, but yeah. Okay, cool.
So it's just different. And I think the industry needed a fresh set of eyes, a new way of going about something, because it is such an established industry that there's not one way to get to point Z. You can get there in so many different ways, and I mean, I kind of like my way.
Yeah. And your customers like your way too.
Yes,
clearly.
They do.
And it's over 1,200 households remodeled.
Yeah, 1,300.
1,300. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're still going.
Wow.
Every day.
Impressive. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I would love to talk a little bit more about being in a long-standing industry, because I mean, Office Depot, office supplies is a long-standing industry. Pretty much anything that I can think of could be considered long-standing in terms of clothing, attire, whatever. So what I'm saying is this can certainly apply to you and your business and your industry. So how did you set about? Did you actively look for a problem or a weakness in the industry, or it just pop up?
It came to me.
Okay, it came to you.
It presented itself to me. Which I'm not somebody that sits on the sidelines and waits. I'm a go-getter. I actually should probably stop and think more. I'm just that person, that I go out there and I get it done. We're always, which is why it works in the industry we're in. Always getting it done. We don't linger, we don't wait around. And that was me, and it presented itself to me, and I could have chosen to say someone should do that. But I said, no, I'm going to do that. And I feel like that's the difference between some people who, you might be one of those people that had an idea, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's such a great idea, but then you don't do anything about it. But that's the difference.
And most people are that.
Yeah.
I would say I am that to a certain extent. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everybody is a little bit like, oh, someone could take care of that. Right?
Yeah, someone should do that.
Someone should do. How many times do you hear, oh, someone should do that? I
Yeah.
think I hear that every day. Someone should, probably from my own mouth. But that's interesting. So if you ever have that light bulb, someone should do that, maybe it should be you.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe
so
it's you.
I love that. I
Yeah.
really, I'm going to take that home with me on that one.
We'll package it up all
Yes,
nicely.
thank you.
With a bow.
Okay, so we kind of talked about renovating, looking for those weaknesses. I'd love to focus a little bit more quickly on what it was that you did for your customers specifically that was different from other businesses.
That's a great question. So one, the process was different. So the process was all about efficiency and effectiveness. You know, what if this, then that kind of process. And there had to be a smarter way to do things, because we looked at all of the things that people complain about in remodeling, which, I mean, where does the list end? There's so many things.
Right.
But because there's so many moving components in a remodel or in construction, that it's really hard to have control over every person and everything. So what we did was we proactively took steps to try and prevent those things from happening. And so that was great. But then the overall experience is honestly, there's a certain way to do what we do when the customer feels heard and taken care of.
Right.
So you have to, it's like that approach where you actually, and we talked about this, where you feel taken care of before, during, and after. And you get to look at your space and think, wow, that was such a good process.
I had, for lack of a better word, fun doing it, right?
Yeah. Like it was an experience, and it was more positive than it was negative.
Right.
Which a lot of people can say.
Well, I would imagine remodeling, renovations, I mean, can be quite stressful for somebody.
Yes, they're so stressful. And that's one of the things I want to dive into more eventually is, you know, how to prepare yourself for a remodel and those 5 stages of grief when remodeling. You know, you're thinking, oh my gosh.
In terms of content?
Yes.
Yeah, this is
Should
great
I have
content.
done this? Should I have done this? Do I regret this? Am I going to spend all my money? This is a huge investment for me. There's so many fears around remodeling, you know, because people are in your space and you're just like, go away.
Right. There's a lot of money probably involved.
So much money.
Right. And you're changing something that was permanent, right? So that's just, it's like getting, well, it's bigger than getting a tattoo, but like it's the same idea, you know what I mean? Where it's like, this is a big change that's going to stick for a while.
You should think about that commitment before you commit, you know?
Right. I was going to make a joke. I was going to say, have you ever considered bringing a masseuse, you know, and having them get a massage while you're working on stuff?
Yes.
Like, I'm just kind of kidding, but I think I would consider that service. It's like, oh yeah, free like massage.
That's next level right there.
That is next level. That's how you get next level stuff, is through these Facebook Lives, through having conversations with other people, different perspectives. Okay, I want to dive into some hiring ideas, because I know hiring's huge. Real quick, in terms of hiring.
Right.
We talked about this. I don't want to say you made a mistake, but you did tell me that, you know, you learned from an experience.
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how it relates to hiring?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, yes, in my experience, I went backwards in a sense. I had to backtrack, especially over the last year, and really hone in on, you know, our company values, the culture, the mission, and the vision. And all of those things together lead you to make better hiring selections, better hiring decisions. If you don't have those things set up early on, which is really hard when you're in the beginning, because you're thinking, you know, I don't really know. I don't know these things. But you want to have some sort of foundation that you can build off of. And I think that was one of my biggest mistakes, that I didn't know. I need to sit down and really build out what my values, what my culture, and what my vision and mission look like. Because for me, that's now what is making all the difference. You know,
Right.
you need to hire people that align with your values. That's so important. That fit in with your culture. Because, so our culture, for example, our culture is better every day. We're always changing, we're always adapting. And so that's something we really push with people we're bringing into our space and into our team to represent us. Because if you're not adaptable and if you don't want to change, then you're not going to like our culture.
Right. And
You
it's
know?
a lose-lose for both parties, right?
It
The business
is.
and the person
Yeah.
getting the job.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it goes, you know, it goes both ways. If the company is set up with this foundation, then the employee and the employer are set up correctly. They walk into this relationship and they both understand what I'm expecting of you and what you're expecting of me. And which kind of translates also into like job descriptions, making sure that you have very clear job descriptions. So important.
Yeah.
So important. We've been redoing and rethinking. It's the better every day. We're always getting better. You know, what else could we put in this job description to give a clear, concise understanding before they walk into these doors and
Right.
shake our hands and start with us, you know?
So how much time do you put into like considering a job description? Because I can imagine that being, because you're like reverse engineering a little
Yes.
bit, right? You're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what. That's a lot of thought.
It is, it's so much.
Does that take a lot of time, or do you have someone doing that for you, or?
Both, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it takes a lot of time because you have to think from a day-to-day basis. You know best because you're in the company. But we've worked with coaches who have helped us build this out, because the exact structure that you need on job descriptions, you think it's simple, but there's so much more to it.
Right.
Setting yourself up for success. And let me tell you, like we talked about, when you make a hire that isn't the right fit, it can set you back months to years. And this happened for me, so I would never want another company to have to figure this out. If you can learn from this today, go back and work on your job descriptions and build them out for roles that don't even exist.
What do you mean?
Like
Dive into that a little bit.
futuristic thinking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So build them
Like
out.
the community manager of 5 years ago.
Yes,
Right? That wasn't
yes.
really a position 5 years ago. Now every company has one. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
if
good.
you were thinking ahead, you might be able to tweak it over time and like work on it. But you have that job description already written out, and you can work on it over time. But you actually have to visually put yourself in that role, which is difficult. You have to be in a particular mindset.
Right.
You know?
Right. So this is not a small task just
No.
to do while you have 10 minutes. This is something that you actually actively have to think about. And I never considered that. Like I always
Yeah.
figured it was one of the menial tasks of
Me too.
being a business owner. It's like, oh, I got to write this description. Take money, smile, and say thank you.
Yeah.
It's not a description, right?
Right, it's not.
But it's what I think of in terms of like, oh, who I want front of house. That's all right.
Yeah, because
But
these
it's more.
people represent you, right?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
so you have to make sure that everything aligns with you and these people.
Mm-hmm.
And my secret sauce is personality tests.
Okay.
Huge thing to do when you're hiring, because you only get so much face time when you're interviewing.
Right.
And so you can only learn so much about them. You can only listen to so much that they have to say, but the personality tests get you straight to the point.
Yeah.
That's, and it's interesting.
Is it like an actual personality? Like, are you pulling one from online or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have anyone that's interviewing take personality tests online, and that allows us to get to certain areas that you may not pull from an interview.
Right.
You
I
know?
can imagine that. Yeah.
And yes, there's probably like some room for error on these, but when you take a couple of them and when you meet them face to face, it gives you a well-rounded idea.
Right. That's great. That's a really, really good piece of advice. Honestly, we didn't even talk about that part, but I'm glad.
Fun, right?
I love that you just added some secret sauce in there, because I was like, wait a second, I thought I knew everything here.
Bonus.
But no, that's a really good one to take away from this chat is that. Also, I wanted to share that as you mentioned, it takes a lot of time.
Yep.
So I have to say that Workonomy Services also does help with job posting. We do
Oh,
job
that's
posting.
so
We have
helpful.
administrative services for like back office stuff. One of them is certainly job posting. I'm sure you can talk to the person and tell them exactly who you're looking for.
That's
and you
so
guys can
nice.
probably work on that job description without you having to do it by yourself.
Yeah. And you need an expert. You need
an
somebody
expert.
that.
You just need a set of an extra pair of eyes too.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we are out of time.
Oh
but
my gosh, where did the time
it
go?
goes so fast when you're having fun and learning, right?
Yeah.
Ashley, thank you so much. Can you please tell everybody listening and watching where they could find more information on Simply Sold and just you, Ashley?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we are on Instagram, Simply Sold Austin, which is my favorite recommendation to look at all of our work and just everything we have going on. And then simply-sold.net is our website. And that's a fun place you can go to just check out everything we do and what we're about. And and you can find me on all the social media handles.
Ashley Wainscott?
Yep,
Okay.
Ashley Wainscott.
Perfect.
That's me.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let me just hold on. I know a couple people said hi. I don't want to be rude.
Oh. Yeah, let's not be rude.
Really quick, I want to say hello to Crystal? Oh, that's a
Crystal?
cool name.
Yeah.
Crystal. Sorry. Oh, yeah, she just dropped your Instagram. She dropped the Simply Sold Instagram link on there. So
Always looking out for me.
that Simply Sold Instagram is right in the links. Leslie, thank you for tuning in. Nellie, hi, Nellie. And my computer's slow, so everyone else I've missed, I'm so sorry. But thank
But
you
we
for
love
tuning
you.
in. And you'll find more of this kind of content in our Workonomy Facebook group and LinkedIn group. If you have a specific topic, like for instance today we talked about hiring, go in that group. We have experts. We have Ashley's in there. She's in that group. I tag people who I think can help answer your business questions. So join the group. People like Ashley and former people like Brittany and Daniel and all these people who've been sharing great information are in the group, and they are more than happy to share what they know and give you pieces of advice through their experience. So again, Ashley, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
I know that I'm going to have you back on because that was way too short for our conversation.
It was so short.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Round 2.
Yeah, round 2. Catch you later.
Bye.
Later.
Late.